Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Chinwe.
Hi, Chuma, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing?
Good, good, good.
All right, let's start. It's recording, yeah. Let's give other people some time to join. Mm, Hello, Abisola. Hello, Calista. Okay, so Chinwe, where are you joining us from?
I'm in Canada.
Okay. Have you engaged our services yet? Have we had any chat at any point?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um, I usually I'll start with an intro first while we wait for others to join, and we'll just continue because they're going to listen to the recording anyways. Okay, so welcome to today's webinar session. I'm going to have a switch today where I would want to hear questions from those that are here in person today. Before we go into the questions that were sent in, for taking your time to join. So I would like to hear directly. If you have any particular questions and you're on the call, I'd like to hear directly. Trying to switch devices.
Progress.
Okay, let us switch devices. All right, so I'll start with anyone that is willing to ask their questions. So today is just a general Q&A. We're not talking about any topic today, so whatever comes up, we talk about. So hello, Abisola. I think I saw a message earlier when I was trying to switch. Hi. You're saying you're joining from QnA. Okay. Hi, Calista. I think this is not the first time I'm seeing you here, so welcome. All right. So do any of you have any questions so far? Or should I just go on to share my screen on the questions that we are sent in already? I have another screen here, so that's why I'm looking there. So, but I'm still here. You can unmute yourself and ask. And while we're waiting,
The questions I have is bordering on this new caregiver pathway.
okay. All right.
Yes.
So, okay. All right. So before we get into that, for those that are probably watching the recording and joining the first time, my name is Chioma Ogamba. I am I am the founder of QnA Immigration and a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. So we usually do this webinar every 2 weeks to answer questions, to discuss topics for our community. And most people end up watching the recording anyways. So if you're watching it for the first time, welcome. All right, so I'm going to go back to you now, Chinwe. Please go ahead and ask the question that you have. And if it's something I can answer here, I'll answer. I am limited in some things I can talk about on a general setting, some things I can only discuss, during the consultation. But go ahead and I'll try my best to respond as much as I can.
Okay. This pathway that is opening, they said for now is for people in Canada. So, a lot of news has been going on about the requirements. So I don't know if you can throw more light, because there is like question on who is qualified, because some of them are saying agency is not qualified anymore to be like the job giver. So who is qualified? Like, I know for household people, like individuals are qualified. What is the qualification for them? Then for others, like, who is qualified in that aspect? Like, my friend is asking, is like, group homes, are they also qualified? Like, people taking care of autistic people in the group homes. So there is, like, we don't really know who is qualified. That's number one. So I don't know if you can answer that before I keep asking a lot of questions.
Okay. So do you mind me asking? I think you were asking some of these questions, and you were advised to book a consultation. Is there a
Yeah.
reason why you didn't want to do that?
No, there's no reason, because I told them that I was going to speak to you next week. Then they said there's a webinar. So
Okay. So some of these things I cannot go deep because I can't start answering for your friends that are not here. It depends on I'll just answer on a general level. Because sometimes it will be good to see exactly the job offer, see the company offering that, and now see if it qualifies directly, and I can answer that direct question. But on a general note, the job offers that qualify for this are private households, which you've already mentioned, right? So private
yeah.
households, I have two screens here. So if I'm looking here and here, it's because I'm trying to combine my different slides and all that. So that private households, they are organizations that hire full-time workers, whether it's for short-term care or occasional home care. For those that are either recovering from an injury or illness, or they're semi-independent. So I want to assume, this is an assumption, it's not something that can be held for, that autistic people might be part of that. Because even in the announcement that was sent out, the general explanation is that it's going to help, like, people that are going to be hired through this are people that would help nurture children, provide support for seniors, and people living with disabilities, that need to be comfortable, independent, and be active and part of their community. So bottom line is, if someone's autistic and cannot really be independent by themselves and need help, then they probably fall under those with disabilities. So it's just a general thing. No, they didn't come to start listing all the disabilities. So it's just we have to make some assumptions there. Um, Organizations that directly hire full-time workers, okay? And the examples are, if the organization is like a home health care service provider, if the organization is a home care support service provider, if the organization is a direct care agency, personal care services in residential settings, and also personal, or should I say pediatric home health care service provider. So it depends on the person giving you that offer, the organization giving that offer, or the person. Is it a private household? If it's an organization, do they fall into any of these categories? That's basically it. So what I usually do is client come in, then I'll be able to answer specific to you. This is more of a general setting to have a general idea. I won't be able to go into a full consultation where there are other people that also have questions. But I hope this kind of answers your question, at least gives you an idea.
This is like what is written on the website. I
Yep,
don't really
that's the only thing you
understand.
can go by.
Yeah, I
And
don't.
that is where personal consultation comes in, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have a particular job offer, I can look at it directly and now say, okay, does it qualify? And that's where consultation comes in because it's still, no matter what is put on the website, the consultation is to personalize it to your case. So
Okay.
a webinar will not be able to do that. A webinar is the same thing as general information and answering some questions that maybe, but to go personal on you would mean me using because a consultation is usually at least an hour. We have an hour for a webinar and we have several, if you know, several people here, right? So um it won't be the ideal place to give you everything you need. That's why I had to mention that. But that's, yeah, it is what is on the website. So I'm going to tell you that. But then when you now you know, bring your own, if you have a particular job offer or a company that might give you a job offer or your friend has some, we can go into that detail and I can help you figure that out. That's the best way.
Okay, no problem.
Is the best way. At the very least, if you have that clarity, if you want to do it yourself, fine. But at least you have having that clarity in the beginning to make sure you're on the right path is important. If you decide that, okay, I want to do the whole application myself, it's your choice. But at least be sure that you have the general idea and you understand what it is that you're doing, before you go into the details of that. Because before this, they had several other pathways that were similar. So at this point, there are still some things that will come March 31st, and they'll still share more information at that March 31st. And they might also tell you to submit applications from then too. But at this point, the only thing that was going to set you aside from someone that's just reading what's on the website is if you're working with someone that has the experience working on other pilots that are similar to this. For example, before now, I'm sure you're probably aware of this. There was the Living Caregiver Program. There was the HWP, right? So there are other programs that have closed before they opened this one. And they all have things in common. That's where experience comes in. Experience is not something you see on Google. That's the advantage of the consultation, right? So
Yeah, the consultation is good, but from what I heard, like I was talking to your girl, I said I would like you guys to do everything. That is when I would do the consultation though. But the problem I'm hearing is that they said the when the site opens, it doesn't it closes quickly. So for
nobody knows that for real. And
mm,
I'll tell you why they are mixing it up. This is a new immigration pilot.
yeah,
So there's a difference between when it's time to submit and when they're sharing more information. The
yeah,
information they are sharing now, they're saying they still have more they're going to share, right?
yeah,
Mhm. In the past, all that information for those ones that have closed, everything was already shared before they will now come and say, oh yeah, get ready to submit January 1. It used to be January 1 for a few years.
mm,
Get ready to submit January 1. They're not saying get ready to submit January 1. They're saying coming March 31. Would they say you should submit then? Yes, probably. But they are also saying they have more information to share. So they might share that information before March 31st. But in the meantime, whatever information they've shared, at least you start working on it. The earlier you get someone to start working on it and be ready enough as based on what they've shared and be ready up to what they've shared already will give you that advantage than waiting till March 31st. But there's no guarantee that on March 31st when they're going to say, okay, submit. Yes, the possibility is there. But in the past, let me give you an example. Home childcare provider pilot, it started, let me see if I can get the exact date started. Started before 2022 for sure. I'm just trying to find when it started. Let me go back. Mm, This one is a new pilot. So what they do is they start with when they say something is a pilot, they're starting it out, they're trying to see whether it's something they want to make permanent. And they might run it as a pilot and they eventually be like, okay, let's just end this program. We're not going to make it permanent. But something like Atlantic Immigration Program now, they they started as pilot and now it's permanent, right? Even startup visa, business immigration, it was a pilot and now it's permanent. So for example, now most caregiver programs, some of them started, there's a particular set that started in 2014 and ended in 2019. So they are starting on now is starting, this is the first year. Express entry we're hearing today started in 2015. Before people started hearing, I think I heard about it in 2016, but it started in 2015, January 1 or so 2015. So all of these things started off as pilot first, and then with time they will provide new information before they now start saying apply. So this is what the people are comparing. I don't know where you're hearing it from, but I'm very sure that's most likely not a consultant that's telling you that. Yes, when it opens, when they tell you to submit, it can take a very long, short time and everything closes up. But at the same time, this is a pilot. No one can say for sure until that time comes. We can only speculate. The least you can do is to be prepared so that when the time comes, you're ready to you have an advantage over those that have not done anything. So that's the most I can say right now. Everybody has limited information, so the least you can do is just be prepared. That's all, my dear. Okay, I'm going to move on. Unless you have anything else to say, I'll just move on. Maybe try to share my screen here.
No, it's okay. I will do the consultation later, so you can attend to other people.
No problem. So when you're coming for the consultation, just come with your if you have any job offer already, all the information that you have, anyone you have, come with it, come with all your questions, have it so you have the best, you'll be able to fully get the best out of the session. Okay. Anyone else have any question here? I want to answer questions from people that are here before um before I go into the slide deck. So I'm going to give one more person the chance to ask me a question. Just feel free to unmute yourself and ask me. I can do that for the first 30 minutes, and then we can go into the next session. Hello, Daniel. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, so I'm happy to be here. My question is, I have a family of three, and I'm willing to relocate to Canada, but the issue I'm having is I kept hearing that I cannot, because I'm an HR professional, that I cannot use that as to I don't know how to put it now. Like I cannot use that profession to file for my express entry. So I
Who
just
told you
need it.
that? Hey, Jesus. Who told you that?
That's what Reliance agent now. An agent told me.
First of all, I'm glad that you're here. Yeah, it's not true. Let me start with that. It's not true. How many years experience do you have?
7 years.
There are provinces that are looking for HR professionals, which you can do through express entry. So it's not true. You can get your express entry, get your PR with that. I know a lot of people that came in. My one of my younger sisters is here with her HR experience, and she's doing HR here. She doesn't even have up to the years of experience you have, Steph. And she came here as a PR, and she actually got her citizenship last year. So it's not even this one, it's not even clients. This is our last girl in the family. So it's not true.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll engage better later. Thank you.
You're welcome. Your experience in Nigeria is valuable. I came here to Canada as a permanent resident. I didn't come as a student. I didn't come as a visitor. I came as a permanent resident, which is the highest status you can come in as a foreigner in this country. So a lot of people are coming as HR, as whatever experience that they have. Yes, the criteria has changed over the years. I've been helping people for free since 2016. When I learned about it and I started my own process, I took my IELTS in 2016. I've been helping people for free up until like 2021, 2022. Before I started like when I got my license, I think I got my license 2021, and I now started like charging for my services and all of that. My point is, any experience you have in Nigeria is valuable. A lot of people come here to study, and when they end up meeting with me, I end up helping them to get their PR based on the experience they had in Nigeria. Some of them, in fact, I had a client I was talking to yesterday, and she was like, if she knows what she knows now, she met me earlier, she probably wouldn't have come as a student. She probably would have had patience and just gotten her PR and come in as a PR because she has all it takes without even the Canadian education to at least. Yeah, will it be a little, maybe she might have to do one or two things here and there, yes, but sometimes if you spending the money, come to study here and still do the same thing that they would have done if they were in Nigeria and come to get their PR. So definitely engage. I'm glad you really say you're going to. I look forward to having a chat with you. Everyone that is here on everyone that is here in the webinar is going to get a discount. If you've gotten a discount already, then it's not for you. But if you're here, you're going to get a discount. If the discount is better than what you already have, great. Apply it today and book a session with me today. I have a few, I don't know if I still have slots, but let me, if I say what I'm not sure. Let me check. Again, do I still have slots to chat with people today? Because I think I booked in 1%. Let me check. So I still have slots to talk to anyone from the webinar today, maybe like 2 or 3 people if it's still available. But we'll give you, I've never given 40% discount. You can go through the entire Instagram page. You're not going to see it there. We are reserving it for those that make out time to come here. So stay till the end. You get the code, you book your session on the website, and you can have a chat with me. It's going to expire tomorrow. So try your best to book it today if it's something you want, because that 40% is nowhere else but here, and it's for a limited time. Okay, I see one more question on the chat. I think this is Abisola. Hi. Okay, so your question is it possible to get a job, pharmacy assistant in Canada after obtaining the ITF? When I'm getting a job would waive the POF requirements. Yes, it will, but it's still, your application is still stronger if you have POF, even if you have a job, to be honest with you. And we actually have a new package coming out. So that I'm going to be saying it for the first time here. We haven't announced it publicly yet because we want to tidy 1 or 2 things, but I'll talk about it here now, so that in case it's something you're interested in, you can just indicate interest, and you'll be one of the few first clients we are going to assist with that. For years, we've been having people ask us, do you help get jobs? Do you help do this? We can finally help you with that. We can finally help you with that. So we have partners that can literally assist you. You just provide them your entire portfolio, your resume, your experience, everything. We'll find the right provinces that if you get a job there, you have a high chance of getting a nomination and therefore have a high chance of getting your PR through express entry and all of that. We'll handle the immigration side. And their job is to help you get interviews, coach you for the interviews, prepare you for the interviews. So they'll keep applying for you. Arrange your resume, first of all. They'll do the whole thing. And when you get the job offer, then of course, hopefully you have a job waiting for you before you even come here, and you get your PR before you land. So that is in the pipeline. If you're interested, you can indicate. You can also book a session, and at least we'll sort out exactly the program. We'll come up with a roadmap for you on the program that will work based on your profile. And then we'll start that process of trying to help you look for a job before you leave the one you have right now. So that's what I'm going to say to answer that. But I will still advise that even if you get a job, please still find a way to get a POF. The good thing about POF is this: for PR, getting POF, at least you're not having to worry about paying tuition, right? So the POF, if you don't have enough savings to make up for your POF, I can give you an advice on how to go about it, which is actually even what I did. I had family members, actually in my case, just one family member sent me the money as a gift and said that they were giving me that gift for me to settle in Canada. So if you're able to get a family member that's willing to, even if it's one or two, or for ideally maybe your mom or your dad, if they are no longer here with us, my condolences. Or then maybe your siblings. That's the closest family that they would believe that okay, these people can actually give you money to like settle, right? If you don't have any of that and it's going to be someone outside of this, then when you meet with me, tell me, oh, if it's an uncle, let's assess it on a case by case basis. Sometimes I'm like, okay, maybe that would work, but if it's just direct family, for sure, that would work. And if it's not, then we can always find a game plan for your particular situation. Okay, I'm glad that I have honored those that are here live and answered your questions. So I'm going to now go into those. And so I think some of you said that are here or are already sent in questions. So I'm still going to go into answer the ones on the slide deck, and then I'll come back again to the chat or, have you guys ask your question in person again. So this is our Kisha Kindred Community Q&A session. For those that are not aware, I already introduced myself earlier. So my name is Choma Frances Ogamba. I am an RCIC, which is the Regulated Canadian Immigration Consultant. So I'm licensed to advise you on Canada immigration. And that's what we're talking about today. Apart from Canada immigration, we're also going to discuss another pathway that might be coming, it's going to be coming up for US, and we're working on right now in case you know people that might qualify for it. Apart from that, I'm also a chartered accountant here in Canada. That's a CPA and CGA there, so chartered professional accountant and chartered general accountant. And I have an MBA, so that also helps me to guide clients on those that want to do business immigration as well. They can buy new businesses, they can start up new businesses, and we have partners that specialize in that partner with us to help our clients do that as well. Okay, so the outline, I actually tweaked it a bit today. So we're just going to go into the questions directly. So Joseph Okite asked these 3 questions. Number 1, he said, I would like to know how I am qualified for express entry. Now, I don't know if Joseph is here, so I'm just going to ask and check. If he's not here, then I will not be able to answer this question just because I need to ask him a few questions to see whether he specifically qualifies. And that's where consultation comes in. But I can just give a general overview of who can most likely qualify for express entry. Now, express entry by nature is age specific, sort of. They prefer candidates that are and applicants that are between, let's say, if you're within 21 to 30, you have a good chance. I personally like to say 25 to 30 or 24 to 30 because at that time, depending on when the person graduated, they might have 2-3 years of experience already at 23 or 24, and up until by the time you're 30, you probably even have 7 years, depending on when you started to work. And why I say that is because the system is designed that if you're within that age bracket, you're going to get the highest points when it comes to age, which is a big thing. And that's one of the things you don't have control over. You really cannot change that. And before I continue with this, an express entry is not a pathway. It's not a pathway. I have to correct that. It's just a platform where you can use to get your PR. The different pathways are connected to it, and these are the Federal Skilled Worker. That's the federal program, obviously. The Federal Skilled Trades and the Canada Experience class, and I'll explain that. Now, provincial nomination programs, some of them would indicate that if you have an express entry profile, you can apply to express interest in provincial nomination programs, right? Now, the express entry, let me call it the platform, where you have to create your profile and all of that. Those pathways I mentioned, the federal skilled worker is what most foreign, when I say foreign, I mean foreign people outside Canada. So most people that are foreign to Canada, outside Canada, can usually use it. Even people within Canada can use it if they have foreign experience. So most people that are outside Canada usually go through that FSW, Federal Skilled Worker. Federal skilled trades is similar. The only difference between federal skilled trade and federal skilled worker is that federal skilled worker usually for, quote unquote, the white collar, or let's just say people that are like all these bankers, the HRs, like all those ones, those very professional. Then the federal skilled trades, not that they're professional, but they are usually like the artisans, right? Like the plumbers, the electricians, the technicians, the chefs, they fall under that. Then Canada experience class is just wide. It's not every even these ones I've mentioned, it's not every occupation that falls into those. Because every occupation in Canada is graded in a particular, they have different tiers, if you're familiar with it. If you're hearing for the first time, it's called National Occupation Code, NOC. So there's a directory that has all the occupations there, and every occupation has their own code. And each of these occupations are grouped in different tiers, So depending on the tier your occupation falls in, you might qualify or not qualify for each of these particular pathways. So Canada experience class is more general. So if you have a experience in Canada, work experience in Canada, you most likely qualify for Canada experience class. So if I'm talking to someone that has experience in Canada, has experience in Nigeria, for example, I studied here, is like maybe a banker, for example. I'm biased. I used to be a banker in Nigeria, GT Bank. Now, that person most likely qualify for FSW and Canada work experience, right? So that's how you can say, okay, am I qualified? That's a very general way of putting it, to be honest, because there are other things that are considered: your education, your work experience, your age, whether you're married, what's your spouse, husband or wife's profile as well. So I'm just trying to explain it, that even if I cannot really answer this question directly, at least give enough information for you to start guessing, okay, where am I at? But this is exactly what you get when you come in, because everybody's profile is the same thing. Everybody's not the same age, has the same experience. Very rarely do I see two people that are exactly the same profile. So that's why we encourage consultations. Honestly, personally, if there was a way I could just, which we are working on, we are trying to find a way to like just put the information across, that if you go through it, you might not necessarily need consultation, or even if you do, it's just a few questions you're going to have. We're working on something along those lines, but the place for consultation is still there, because we are all unique, and our journeys so far in life are all different. Our experience so far, our education is all different. So that's why we still say consultation, because when you come in, we're talking about just you. We're not talking about in general terms, like I mentioned earlier in this, in this particular conversation, this webinar. All right, so I'll move on. Sorry about that. What happened there? Okay, so number two says something about provincial nomination. Do I need the provincial nominee programs to help boost my chances? Because that's the most I've seen so far as regards relocating to Canada. And I'll say everybody would have an advantage if they get provincial nomination. Even those that their score might be high enough on their own, they will still have that advantage of having a provincial nomination from any province. And right now, we have tweaked our PR programs to be such that when you come to us and say, "Will you please help me get a PR for me and my family or for myself," I don't just consider just express entry by itself. Those first three ones I mentioned. It used to work before. In my own time, I didn't need provincial nomination. Most people did not need provincial nomination. I even got a provincial nomination from Ontario and I turned it down because I wanted federal. I wanted to go wherever I wanted to go. But now, because I've stayed in one province for almost 7 years in June. So if you get provincial nomination, even if you had federal, you might still stay in one place for more than 3 years anyway. Why? The only thing about provincial nomination is that if that province nominates you, you accept that nomination, you get your PR through that. The very least that is expected of you is to stay in that province until you get your citizenship. If you're going to leave that province, you have to have a very good reason. Because the chances are, if that province nominated you, they most likely are looking for someone that has your expertise. So chances are you're going to get a good job, or at least you're going to get a job there. Now, if you're not having issues getting a job there, that's when you have to have proof before you go somewhere else. If not, you might be jeopardizing your citizenship down the line. That's just the only caveat there. But yeah, in general, when we are working with our clients, we try to incorporate provincial nomination programs. There are other things we try to do to improve the chances of the client actually getting their PR. But this is one of the main things for sure. So the last question is, if I begin my process in May, what is the estimated period of time frame? This is a very tricky question. I can't answer it. Mostly because I'm not God. Yes, there are processing times, but everyone's journey is very different. I have seen people submit application and it takes 3 months and they get it. I have also seen people submit and it takes 18 months and they get it. Meanwhile, the Canada government website is saying that the processing time for that particular application is 6 months. So I don't like answering this question with certainty. The only thing I try to do is the earlier I try to say is the earlier you start, the better for you. Because your journey is going to be different. Some people will start the journey and their issue will be POF. Abisola asked that question. I had issue with POF. I didn't have issue with English exam. I passed it. I had my work experience, my documentation, everything was quick. Then POF was where I now had issue. Some people's issue is they not pass the English exam. They keep writing. I've seen people that have written that exam 6, 7 times before they got it. But today they're in Canada, thankfully. And some of them even have their citizenship already. Some people's issue would be getting transcript from their school. Some people's issue would be putting documentation together and making a mistake and having issue with that. So everyone's journey is different. Some people's background check will take forever to complete, you know. So what matters is figuring out exactly what pathway is. In general, it takes about, I say, from as little as 6 months to as much as 2 years, even more. I've seen people that take even more than that 2 years. But in general, I would say 1 year to 2 years. Most people fall within the 1 year to 18 months mark. But there's no way of me knowing if that's going to be your exact situation. So I can only give examples and then when your own plays out to see how long it took you. All right, let's move on. So Opeyemi Thomas says, I've been refused twice through education route. What is my chance of acceptance if I try again? Okay, I'll tell you guys the truth, which is what I try to do every time anyways. But when it might not be what you want to hear, I have to prepare your mind. The best thing to do if you can afford it is to get a licensed consultant or an immigration lawyer to handle your application. These are people that have gone to study this thing. Not see they will not make mistakes or they will not probably you might not still get a refusal through them. But if you get a refusal through a consultant, the chances of remedying it or that is not something too terrible is much higher. When you're dealing with maybe an agent that thinks they know what they're saying from just Google because they not go to any school. Literally, I had to get a student loan and grants from the government to go to school. So people have to pay from their pocket to go to school and spend at least 1 year. And then you still write the exam to make sure you know what it is. And then every year you're expected to attend hours of CPD, conference, classes to make sure that your knowledge is still up to par. You're still having to, because it's what you do, you have to keep yourself updated on what is going on. And then you're handling clients. So the more clients you handle, you're also improving your experience. And then you have colleagues that are ahead of you, behind you, at your same level, and we are all in a community and asking questions, and you're seeing the mistakes people are making and you're learning from those mistakes. It's not the same thing as an agent. It's either you get a lawyer or you get a consultant. It's not because I am one. In fact, it's because I realized that when I was helping people for free, I realized the difference between just your knowledge and and the difference between when people have actually formalized this thing. There's a reason why all those things are in place, and I went to go and get that, and it made a difference. So when I'm saying this because I've seen a lot of people go through this. Either they did it themselves. I'm not even saying this person used an agent though. I'm going to mention the two things that usually happens. Is either they did it themselves or they use an agent. Doing it yourself is understandable because even Canada said they'll tell you if you can do it yourself, do it yourself, and they'll give you the information they want to give you there. The thing about doing it yourself is that this is not your expertise. So let's assume it's someone that has experience in accounting and they come into it for the first time. You cannot say because you're a PhD accountant or a doctor self you can figure it out. Some people can figure it out. It depends on how detail-oriented you are. But no matter how detail-oriented you are, if you're doing it for the first time, you have to ask for help. And that's why we have our review service available. So that even if you want to do it yourself, if you get a review, get someone else, a fresh pair of eyes to look at that thing before you submit it, because it might pick up on things that you're not aware of. Okay? So now moving on. If you've been refused, the more of why I said all of those things is that prevention is better than cure, by the way. I said that because prevention of getting the refusal in the first place is better. So it's better for you not to get refused at all, because the more refusals you get, the more difficult it is for you to get an approval in that same type of application. It might not necessarily 100% affect a different type of application. So I'll give an example using his scenario. So he's already said, it's through the education route. So I'm going to assume, obviously, it's a study visa. He got admission, applied. However, he applied by himself or an agent, or maybe even an immigration consultant. It didn't work out. I don't know what the real story is there. This is how we got the question. Now, by the time he's going the third time, whoever that is approving, and these are things I've heard directly from visa officers in some of the programs I've attended, and they come to teach us one or two things. By the time they are coming to approve, whoever that is going to approve that third time or is going to look at that application that third time has to have a very good reason to overturn the first two refusals. And at this point, I'll say if this person wants to try again, if you're not going to use an immigration lawyer or a consultant, don't go back. Don't go back there. Because the chances are, number one, you probably don't even know to go and check what happened, what went wrong in the first two applications. Do you get your GCMS notes? Do you know how to even go back to correct it? You might even know what went wrong, but you might not know how to go back with a strong application the third time or even the second time. So this time around, get professional help. I usually say, even if it's not us, of course, I would love to help you, but even if it's not us, please get professional help. Okay? It will increase your chances. And before you go again, I will advise you make sure that study is the best route for you, because maybe PR is the best. Some people get rejected in study, and when they come to me, I'm even happy they got rejected because PR is better for them. They won't have to spend that money they will use on tuition. They should use and go and do down payment on house when they land in Canada as PR. That's what I like telling my clients, and I've seen it happen again and again. It's not everybody that needs to pay tuition. So what other routes? Okay, you already went ahead of me, Seth. Yeah, what other route can you explore aside education? So yeah, I'll explore getting a permanent residency, especially if you already have work experience. It might be a possibility for you. It's still possible for you to relocate this year. And I'll use the most recent example that I have. And this one is so close to home, Seth, and I can use that. That's my immediate younger sister, not the last girl I mentioned before. I'm using my family a lot today. Yeah, all my siblings are in Canada. I'm the first. All my younger siblings are here, all with status. One is a citizen, one is a PR, the other one is a student. So it's kind of like my mom is a visitor. She has a visit visa, but she's not around now. She came twice last year, and she left in January. So I've explored almost everything depending on the person's profile and what they can do or not do. So that's why it kind of keeps coming up, because for me, I feel like if I'm telling you this is my own family, it's not so clients. I can say clients, but sometimes because they're clients, there are some things I cannot say confidentiality wise. So I can just say in general. So I rather use my family. It's easier, and it also covers me sort of. So now I had my really younger sister. She got her ITA in March. I think a week after my birthday self in March. Yes, last year. In March, and around this time last year, I think on 13th of March last year. This is March 15th this year. And then she submitted around May. Yeah, around May, June, she submitted. She got her PR in September, and she landed October, November, before the end of the year. So everything happened within that year. This is still March. Who knows? So it depends on what your profile is. It depends on where you're at in your journey, if you have started at all. Because before then, of course, they wrote their exam in 2023, not 2024. they had already done a couple of things before they joined the pool in December, January, and they now got the IT and all of that. So I don't know what level of preparation you are, but from the point of getting the invites can be in less than a year you're here. And I also know people that since they submitted the application in December 2023, it is not yet out. But that is not that common. But if it happens to a few people, most people usually get it within that 6-month mark that they put on the website. But it's not a guarantee for everybody. So it's still possible for you to relocate this year, even through study as well, if you do it properly this time, like whoever that handles your application, if they do a better job. We have had clients that, in fact, there's one that I was talking to the auntie of the client, was it 2 days ago? And they told me they're going to make payment. But let me use a more complete application. We had a client come to us when they had only one rejection. And in that situation, and I'm saying this because he has encouraged, he has given me the permission to share the story anyways. So yeah, so in that particular situation, there are some things that went wrong. He reached out to us after the first rejection and came, finished telling him, okay, this is what is required and all of that. And he was like, okay. It was later we found out that he was like, no, I don't want to pay these people. I'm gonna try it again myself. He did the first time himself, and the second time he did it again himself. And after that second time, he got rejected again. Then he now came back. Okay, anything now, I'll pay anything. And the thing is, the more rejection you get, the more you're going to pay, because it's going to be more work for us to actually try to overturn. And by the time we were done, before we even submitted the application, he was like, the kind of things he said. Of course, he was complaining that we stressed him because we will collect as many documentation as we need. Because at that point, we'll be very, very thorough. If you're not really ready to be thorough and get us what everything you're asking for, please don't bother coming, because you might say we are stressing you, but if you actually focus on the goal, you won't feel like you're being stressed. But he was like, we people stressed us. You stressed me. You asked me for this, asked me for that. But honestly, if these people don't approve this thing, then something is wrong with them. That's what he said even before we submitted the application. He's in Canada today. He got approved and he's here. He's studying. And he's in Nigeria, but he was in the UK then. So my point is there's a chance it can still work out, but just make sure you have the right guidance. Okay. This one is, I think, Daniel Oyefe. Probably someone we already have here. Best routes for Nigerians. So there are routes that Nigerians will not even qualify for. So I don't even bother talking about it because most of the clients that come to us are Nigerians anyway. But the ones I've talked about already, the federal skilled worker, depends on the Nigerians you're talking about. Nigeria, is it Nigerians in Nigeria or Nigerians in Canada or Nigerians in other countries? It depends on where you are, it depends on your profile. But in general, coming as a PR would work for you. Especially if the more educated you are, the more chances you get. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but if you have a PhD or if you have a master's, of course, the best combination is young and highly educated with more years of experience. That's what they're looking for. But in general, it's federal skilled worker route. Of course, now because things are more tougher and is more common, and everybody knows about kind of coming to Canada now. Most everybody thinks that they can help everybody do it. Back then when it started, a lot of people did not know about it, so it was easier. So just FSW pathway was easy for, it was working for almost everybody that time. But now you need to try and add provincial nomination. You might need to learn French. You might need to get a second degree. You might need to, there are a lot of other things that there's a bit more effort now. If you have siblings here, you have extra points. There are other things that can be used to improve your score. But that's in general is what I'm going to say. Federal skill trades is also another way to come. If you fall into all of federal skill trades. Now, in the federal system, express entry system, there are also different categories. There's those that have logistics experience, those that have agricultural experience, those that have healthcare experience, those that have STEM, science, tech, engineering, and math related experience, those that speak French, those that are, I don't know if I've covered all of it, but there are different categories that they prioritize as well if you fall under that. So that's all I can say on that for now, because I will need to have a real person to look at that person's profile and answer more directly. But in general, that's what I can say. There are other pathways as well. To add more to that, there are also entrepreneurial pathways depending on the profile as well. If someone is a senior manager, if someone already has a business, they can come here and buy a new business, not a new business, an existing business. They can come here and buy an existing business and use that to relocate. They can also come here and start up a new business and use that to relocate and get their PR as well. So it all boils down to who I'm talking to. And when I'm talking to someone and I have my consultation hat on, right now I feel like I have my teaching hat on slash consulting sort of, but more of teaching. But when I have my consulting hat on and I'm talking to someone, I am zoned in on that person. I'm focused on that person's profile and I'm looking at the Canadian immigration pathways, which are like over 80 pathways based on that person's profile. So there are some things I might remove easily, and I think I'll say, okay, no, this will work for this person. And then if I'm working with someone else, those things I remove for person A might be the best fit for person B. So using Nigerians as a whole, the only thing I can remove for Nigerians is that there are certain agreements that Canada has with Mexico, like South American countries, Hong Kong, and all of these other countries specific to those countries, some European countries, that these particular pathways don't work for these people in this country. Those ones I won't bother bringing to Nigerians because Nigeria is not in that agreement. That's the highest I can say, in that situation. All right, let's round up. So I can see if I can have a few minutes to answer any other questions that will come up. So here I see Henry Olumuyiwa, and he's asking, how can I overcome the challenge of funding the tuition deposits required from schools before Empower disburses loan to the school? So for those that don't know, some people can actually, you can actually use loan from private institutions to supplement your tuition payments to your school and all of that. And in this situation, honestly, I would just say if you have a sponsor, if you have a family member, uncle, mom, dad, sibling that are willing to sponsor you, that will be your best bet. Going to use all these agencies that just provide money so you can show and flash, and it's not the best. If they catch you, they can ban you from coming to Canada for 5 years. I usually don't advise that. Are there people that do it and they go scared, they go scot-free and come into Canada and figure it? Yeah. Some people don't get caught. But what if you get caught? That's why I cannot advise you, because I don't want you to come back and tell me it's me that told you. I can't advise that. And that's one of the things about being a consultant. You have to follow ethics. There are some things I can't tell you to do professionally because it's going to come back at me and might affect my own license, and everybody doesn't want anything that will affect their daily bread. So that's why we are more conscious in general, not everybody, but people are usually more conscious of what they do, what they put their hands in, and especially when giving advice or helping clients. So I would say get a sponsor. Get a sponsor is better for you. It removes you from harm's way. Now, if financially speaking, you can't handle this and you have experience, Henry, if you're here, if you're listening to me, if you end up watching the recording and you have experience and you're a young person and you really want to come to Canada, you don't have the funds. I used to be in your shoes. Before I tried Canada to MPR, I tried study I came back from the UK in 2012, and I tried study between 2012 to 2016. It wasn't working out for me. I couldn't get the scholarship I was hoping to get. I couldn't get the funding from family like I wanted to. So when I saw PR, I jumped on it. So maybe this is not how you're supposed to come to Canada. If you know you want to come to Canada, if you know that this is where you're going to come to, it might not be study. It might be through PR. It might be through another pathway completely. It might be through you getting a job offer. I've helped clients in the past and they've gotten job offers. We just never really come out, usually friends, family friends. I've just really not come out to make it a service because it takes a lot of energy. But now I've found a system of people that can assist us do that. And we're trying to fine tune that before we bring it out into the public. But it's possible that maybe you just have to get a work job offer to come here, and then from there you get your PR, So if it's not working out and you don't, and all the things I've advised is just not working out, explore PR. The good thing about PR is, I don't know how much your tuition is, but I know most times tuition is like if you're lucky, maybe you see 1 year 8 or 10,000. Most of the time it's usually between 15 to 25 or even 30,000 for 1 year. depending on the program you're going for. I've even seen it higher than that, but let's not go there. Those are like expensive MBA programs in like U of T, like University of Toronto and all of that. But let's assume it's, just something moderate, usually around 15,000 for a year, if not 20 or 17 or 21, 25, 30. Meanwhile, as a single person, I'm assuming this person is single, because you keep saying I, right? So if for a single person, your POF for PR is just 14,000 something, let's round it up to 15,000, and you're not paying it to anybody, you're not paying it to any school. You are just going to show that in your account, and you're going to use that to start your life when you come here to pay your rent and all of that. But if you're a student, you have to show tuition, and you still have to show POF for your living expenses. But PR, you're just showing your POF for your living expenses, period. That's it. Is it still a lot of money? Yes. Even for me back then, when it was about 12,000 Canadian, now it's about 15,000, But then it was 12,000 Canadian for a single person when I did mine then. And it was still so much money for me back then. It was a lot of money, 10,000 USD equivalent, about 3 point something million then in Naira. We all know that Naira now is not it, but then 3 point something million was something. Now it's not as much when you compare it to foreign currency. I couldn't afford that at the time, right? So, but at least at the end of the day, if you figure it out, it's PR you're coming into, and then everything will be worth it. Okay, so I think I have covered everything. Chinwe was one that asked questions in the beginning about a caregiver pathway. I'll be having a consultation with her. So I'm just going to go on to say thank you so much for joining us today and for sending in your questions and for being part of our community. I'm going to stop sharing at this point, but before I stop, just take note of our handles on our different platforms for Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, and YouTube. This video will be going up on YouTube, so you can catch the replay there. Does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask? I'm going to check the chat and I'll start from there. Okay, Abisola says she's going to book a session. That's great. I look forward to meeting you in the session and having a chat with you directly. Someone sent me direct, so I'm going to keep them anonymous, I guess. So this person is asking, what is your advice for someone doing care work in the UK but interested in relocating to Canada? I would suggest you look into what is going on with the caregiver pathway. I know they specifically said that they're focusing on people that are in Canada right now, but they also have plans to bring people that are outside Canada at some point. So if I were you, I'll be getting ready with what has been shared so far. Even if they said, oh, don't do anything right yet if you're outside Canada. I like preparing. So if you're my client, I'll prepare you regardless to increase your chances. Because there are certain things that are minimum that they're definitely going to ask. At least you start from there. So that's one. Number two, another thing you can also explore is getting a job. So before most people that go to do care work in the UK, in my experience, because I did care work in the UK at some point, even though it was like over 10 years ago, it was quite a long time ago, almost 15 years. So I know that most times when people go to do care work, I've met people that had experience in Canada, then in Nigeria already, or in wherever they were coming from before they came to UK to study, and they're now doing care work. So my feedback to you would be, apart from the care work experience you have in the UK, do you have previous experience before going to the UK? If you don't, great, that's fine. We'll use what you have in the UK. But if you do, you might want to look into that experience as well. I've already mentioned that earlier in the session, that your experience prior to whatever you're doing, before you go to a new country, whether you're here in Canada already or whether you're in the UK, is valuable. I'm going to use this last example before I open the floor again for anyone else. Maybe stay a few more minutes beyond the 1 hour mark. So the last example I'm going to give is an inquiry we got recently. So I was interviewing for a caregiver for my kids sometime last year. I came across someone that was a visitor here, and she used to be a teacher, and she's doing caregiving here. No, yeah, she's helping her her sister. So first of all, hiring a visitor is not something I could do. But apart from that, we just led us to start talking about immigration options for her. Let's put it that way. So my question, eventually I was like, as a teacher, now one other thing I didn't mention was that as a teacher, Canada recently is looking for teachers. You know, they're looking for teachers, and so I called and told her, I know you really want to go through this caregiver pathway, and that's fine. That can be your first option. But another thing you can also consider is your teaching experience in Nigeria, because recently Canada is that we released something that shows that they're looking for teachers. So you might think, teacher, what is it going to do for me in my search of being a Canadian PR? But that's a new development that came out. I don't know if it's up to a month now that it came out. They're looking for teachers, elementary, kindergarten, and all of that. So your experience back home or wherever you are before you even come into Canada, or before you want to come and study, or before you went to study in the UK, or wherever you are, is valuable. Consultation would give you the advantage of figuring out what it is and going into that detail. So if someone is a teacher right now, I would love to be talking to them and guiding them in the process of getting their PR, because Canada is looking for teachers. And that's the thing about Canada, is they are very dynamic. Once upon a time, they were looking for accountants. They are not looking for accountants anymore. I have a friend that came in as when they are looking for accountants. This is at least 15 years ago. Today they're looking for teachers. Tomorrow they might not be looking for teachers. So that's where you leverage the experience of whoever it is that is guiding you through the process. Okay, I'm going to stop here now, and I'm going to open up the floor for anyone that has questions. And if you don't have any questions, we're going to start sharing. I'm going to share the discount code you can use to book right now if you go to our website. Nkem, are you still here, or who is here? Or Debbie?
I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So please, Debbie, can you get the consultation link and share on the chat so that they can click on it and book? So if you haven't spoken to me before and what you want to book for is PR, I will advise you PR or caregiver pathway, because caregiver pathway leads to PR as well. Anything that is PR related, I will advise that you book for the 1 hour session. Okay, that will be my advice, so that you can make good use of your 40% off. Because I need at least an hour with you to cover everything. So I've sent out what the discount code is right now in the comment section. So for you to get 40% off, you put in Kisha 40. And Debbie, make sure this expires within 24 hours from now, because it's not something I want being shared around. Yeah, I want it for people that are here. I mean, you can share with your family members, but I don't want it to fly too much and be open too much. We'll be losing too much money. So for those that are here that made out time to be here, please just check the chats, click on the link there, and use that code. It's going to expire. The discount code will expire in 24 hours. And I look forward to chatting with you. So once you make payment, it will redirect you to book a consultation. You will have to fill out some forms so that I can get some information, share your resume and everything before we meet, so that when we come for that 1 hour session, I would have done a bit of research based on your background, and I'll come in and ask you a few questions, clarify a few things, and give you the roadmap or answer your specific questions. If you don't know exactly what will work for you, I'll tell you the options that will most likely work for you and what you can start doing. And if you want us to handle your application, I'll tell you how we can handle your application. If you want to be a DIY client that will do it and we help you review, we'll discuss what that's going to look like. In general, I'm just going to be very happy to assist you becoming a permanent resident in Canada and eventually a citizen. That's the goal. The discount code will expire in 24 hours. I was typing now. Okay. Okay, if you have any questions, I'm going to be leaving in 3 minutes because I have an appointment in 20 minutes, 23 minutes from now, and I have to drive to the place. So please drop in your email addresses like Nkem has said. Enz, you're sending it to me directly. Please drop it or you can send it to her directly or drop it in the chat in general. If you want to maintain your privacy, send it directly to Nkem or Debbie. Okay. So Nkem, I'm going to send you someone that sent it to me directly so that you can take note of it. Maybe he wants it private. So you can send directly to Nkem or Debbie on the call. Okay, so I saw one question. Let me quickly answer before I go. Mrs. Momo, hi. Welcome. Thank you for the question. So I'm saying, what possible pathways can we explore for other countries? Okay, so what particular countries do you have in mind? Do you have a specific country to add in that you have in mind? Debbie, please can you edit your message that you just sent in now and put in the discount code there as well so that everything can just be in one message. You can take a screenshot or something and everything is just in one message, or you can resend the message. Now, Mrs. Momo, you're here. You can unmute yourself. Let me ask you to unmute. You can unmute yourself, and if you have any particular country in mind, you can let me know.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. For say Australia, US, Ireland, or even maybe European countries.
Okay, so I can't cover all of that in 2 or 3 minutes. But what I can tell you is it depends on your background, it depends on your profile. And I keep going back to profile because every country, what I've noticed, or that's not just what I've noticed, that's what the norm is that they have specific people that they are looking for. So there are ways to get your green card directly in the US, and we are currently we're going to launch it soon, but we are currently putting that in place. We've done it for some people behind the scenes already without making it public, just to make sure we have everything covered, and we are finalizing with our partners because I like having an all-inclusive value-packed package where when you come, if there are other adjacent things apart from immigration that you need, we are going to be giving you that everything in one package, and you just pay and you know that, okay, everything is covered. That's what we try to do at the very least. So for the US one, there are pathways where you have to show that you're a thought leader. You're going to have to show that you have something huge to you have something to contribute to the country, and you have published in different places. And so we have partnerships with people that we are just finalizing it this morning, actually, with that particular partner. I was doing that call this morning, and we are finalizing that. Now, when it comes to Australia, and did you say Ireland? They also have their pathways to permanent residency as well. So right now we help students to go there and study. But if you want to specifically explore the permanent residency, I would advise you come to a consultation, and we'll see the country that best fits your needs, that where you're going to thrive. Because some people, depending on what your work experience is and what you want to do, I might tell you Canada might not be the best place for you, even though I live in Canada. And even right now, I even still have a work permit to work in the US. I'm just not in the US. I prefer Canada. But there are some people that would be like, US might be the best fit for you. There are people that I would say you might want to be in Europe. So it depends on your profile and what your goals in the future are, So book that consultation. Let's have a chat and see what will be the best option for you. And we can take it up from there. Okay. Yeah, okay. So thank you for your questions. Thank you for joining. Please share feel free to share this with your family and friends when we share the link on YouTube with you. And if you have family and friends that you think would benefit from having a consultation session with me, feel free to share this with them as well. It's going to expire in 24 hours anyway. So thank you so much. And see you in the next session. We'll be holding 2 weeks from now. So next week there's no webinar, but the week after that we'll be having another webinar. So look out for that. Follow us on Instagram to get more information on that. And one thing you have to notice when you come on the consultation, because you came through this way, we're also going to give you whatever you end up going for, you get a discount on that as well, because you booked a consultation, because you're part of the community. So invite your family and friends to join our community as well. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend wherever you are. Bye. See. I'll leave it for now, Debbie, and I'll assign you in case you still need to get more information from them. Okay. Thank you.